Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Bent with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today we got an exciting show for you.
Yes.
We've got Dan Williams and Gavyn Rhone coming on. They are the creators of AVTR, a girl group, digital group, you could say. So yeah,
Yes.
kind of like digital versus humans. We're going to talk about that because I'm curious about where this goes in the
Yes.
future.
This will
Um,
be interesting.
we wanted to have them on because it's a little different and all that, but
Mhm.
we're going to talk about their stories too because I think it's so important to get the people behind the group too.
It is.
So, Dan and Gavyn, welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you, Chris and Sandy. Great to be here.
It's our pleasure to have y'all here. And if y'all have listened to any of our shows, you know I start out exact same way. Um, we're in a rough time right now for everything, which I think is where the digital thing really comes into
Oh,
effect,
yes,
right?
comes into play.
Yeah.
But how has COVID affected y'all? And what have y'all done to kind of maneuver around it outside of AVTR?
Yeah, I'll just go first and talk about Panjandrum, our company, and then Gavyn can also talk about being a music artist during COVID and things like that. We started Panjandrum AI Incorporated. It was me, Gavyn, and Quentin. And we made a decision October 3rd of 2019 in a parking lot. We said, okay, we're making an Avatar girl group because we got some feedback with somebody that we met with that was like a hot idea. So that's when we locked in. That was before COVID. COVID has accelerated our business. So we were building the ark before the dew point even said that rain was coming, right? But
that's true.
Right.
So that's been great. However, during this time, we've also we do have a lot of we have singers, we have songwriters, and things like that. So there was a time last spring when nothing much was happening for anyone, and we just said, okay, let's make more songs, just to keep ourselves busy during this time. It's a great time for avatars. Maybe not the same for real people, but I'm in Seattle, Washington area, by the way. Gavyn is in Los Angeles. Go ahead, Gavyn.
Yeah. I mean, we've pretty much to piggyback off of what Dan said. We started off. We kind of made a pact in a parking lot. Had gotten some phenomenal feedback from a good friend of ours and someone we esteem that's had his hand in the AI world for a while, and we kind of decided to move forward. And the way we maneuvered during these times is really interesting. It's amazing how survival mode kind of kicks in when rough times come around. And we just got creative, and me being a vocal producer as well. I've been vocal producing the girls behind the voices over the phone and over Zoom and over voice notes over the phone. It's amazing, and just giving them. I'm literally singing the songs and giving them the ad libs and the tones and fluently, literally vocal producing them over the phones, and they're emanating and copying pretty much what I'm giving them in the studios that they're in, it's been pretty cool. And Quentin, he'll make the music by himself here in the studio, and then he'll send me over it's just we've all kind of modified and adjusted to what's going on, and we have to in order to keep the party rolling.
And that's like for us, we started this show January 3rd of 2020, so a couple months before COVID started.
Pandemic.
And, our original plan was like 100 interviews for a show. I thought, and I thought that was stretching it, to be honest with you. I thought if we did 100 interviews, we would be a solid show for the first year. And then COVID happens. And I remember telling Sandy, oh, this may be our time to shine. Because artists, entertainers, actors, all that are going to need a place to talk with everything slowing down. And we're going to give that to them. And because of that, we did over 300 interviews last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So COVID kind of exploded
Everybody-
us like it did y'all.
Yes.
Everybody had time to talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
And what the craziest part is, when COVID first happened, I told Sandy, before COVID, I was reaching out to all, not to anybody big at all. And after COVID, I was like, they might be willing to say yes. and sure enough, we've had people like Randy Travis. We've had Allie Brooke. We've had the legendary actor Ed Asner to come on the show. So all of a sudden now, even as we're starting to hope this year come out of COVID, our show's done built now a really solid foundation to where now people want to come on the show because, oh, look who's been on.
Exactly.
Wow.
I think it's also a time where, COVID is the great equalizer for celebrities and things like that. You see them without the fancy makeup and lighting. They're in their own home like everybody else.
Right.
And plus, the younger people, Generation Z, they just want authenticity, So it's so I think that probably a lot of your guests just wanted to get real and to be accessible and things like that. I think during this time, just the notion of celebrity might be changing.
Yeah.
With things like TikTok, etc. It's fame is something that's wide open. You don't have to be on TV per se, and so.
And you can accidentally find yourself in fame. Like, there was a girl that I watched on TikTok, Miss Sutherland, and all she did was talk about. She's a elementary school teacher, and she would get on there and talk about things you're not taught in school, just things that the kids would say that kind of blow your mind, like and they were just crazy stories. And she ended up going viral, and now she's got her whole a line of her. Wear and all that. So you just never know what's going to happen in this crazy digital world.
Yeah.
Now, one question I do have for y'all, since it's almost like machine versus human, everybody has played into that since 30 years.
Books, movies.
Where do you see that going with music then? Since y'all are kind of in the middle of that, what is that like? That versus human.
Well, I think first, from our perspective, to bring it back to reality, our avatars right now, they're just digital puppets.
Yeah.
They're 3D models. They're rigged so that they have bones. They can dance around. But somebody has to make them sing and dance.
Yes, right.
Things like that.
Oh, cool.
However, how much longer is it going to be that way, right? There are a lot of other companies in the space of what we call like virtual beings, virtual humans, and you're familiar with the idea of deepfake, right? That's where you can just generate a face, right? Well, think about this. Probably 5 years from now, there'll be like AI generated video.
Wow.
So then at that point, the computer, the algorithm is making up a TV show just for you that you might like. And nobody, there's no people in it. So there are a lot of crazy scenarios out there. It leaves the rest of us to wonder. I hope there's room for us. I hope that our computer overlords enjoy us as pets. Yeah, I mean,
yep, kind of like the Matrix and iRobots and all that. You're like, you don't want to be overtaken.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And to be honest, I think the pandemic's going to help a lot of people too, where there is no live shows right now, and or small ones.
Yeah,
they're going to be so wanting live shows. I think that's where the human existence will become the most.
I think if you haven't booked your travel for second half of 2021 and beyond, get on it, because when this thing's over, people are gonna. I think people are gonna have a lot of isolation to get out of their system when this is
Yeah.
Oh,
over.
definitely.
Make your
Yeah.
plans. Make your plans early. Yeah.
And you know
Gavyn,
that's about what happened. If you think about it, that's what happened back in with 1918, the pandemic. You know, Sandy did some research on pandemics,
Yeah.
and she found that most pandemics last 2 years. That's
Yeah,
just
on
what they do.
average, 2
And the
years.
one in 1918 created the Roaring Twenties. I believe
Yes.
people were so cooped up for those 2 years that all of a sudden, for the next 10 years, they just spent money and spent money and spent money, which then eventually led into depression.
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that happening again.
So tell us a little bit of both of y'all's story. You know, you can start, Dan, kind of where
Yeah.
you came from,
Background.
kind of backstory.
Yeah, you bet. I'm originally from New England, and I moved out to Seattle in 1988 to work at a little company called Microsoft. So I was in the software industry for about 15 years. And I had a previous startup of my own about 15 years ago. And this is my second startup idea. I just became interested in music in around 2010. People said, "Hey Dan, you have a voice for radio."
Let's stop you real quick, Gavyn. I think your mic is messing up a little bit.
Gavyn, maybe try hitting the mute at least while I'm talking. See if that helps for a few minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like it's Gavyn's mic. I was reading a newspaper article in 2010 about a local man who won a nationwide karaoke contest, and somehow it hit me. I was like, "That's for me," you know.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I had no prior music training or experience, so I had a brief competitive karaoke career, and through that process, I ended up managing a singer, and the singer he didn't need my help singing; he just needed my help with his life, and I did a lot for him, and then we made some songs for him, and that's how I met Quentin Davis, who's our third co-founder. He's 20 feet away from Gavyn right now, but he's not on this call. So I met Quentin in 2013, and then we just enjoyed each other. We stayed in touch, and then when I became free from doing anything else in 2019, we decided to start this company, and then that's how I met Gavyn. Gavyn and I both have known Quentin since about 2013, and so that's how the three of us came together. Although Gavyn and I, are now brothers and friends as well. So yeah, Gavyn, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. I got my start in the music business. My story is a bit. It's got a few turns and twists in it. So I started off singing in church in Kansas City, where I was born and raised, and I come from a family of singers. My mom would sing. My mom and dad were recording an album when they were pregnant with me, and one day when my dad was in the sound booth while they're recording vocals, and he just looked at my mom and said, You want to start a family? And she was like, yeah. And that was it. They got married. They were 16 years old. They got married at 17, and that was the end of their music career. But then I came out, and they said I cried too much. I assume I was singing. But I came out, and by the time I was about I could say about 14 years old, me and my cousins, my brother and my sister, we had been offered our first record deal, a local deal in Kansas City, as we had created a band, a group as teenagers. And everybody in the band signed the contract. All their parents signed the contract. My mom, she said, Gavyn, do you want to do this? And I said, I'm flattered that we were offered a deal, but I don't think I want to do it. I think there's something greater out there. So everybody's name was on the paperwork, but mine. I just used that as an indication that I was on the right path. So I continued on singing, went on recording demos, and I started recording by myself. A friend of mine, he had this full-on studio at his house. His girlfriend, she was a phenomenal singer, songwriter, and they broke up. And when they broke up, he no longer had anybody to record on his equipment. So he called this 14-year-old kid and asked me if I could come in and sing on his equipment every weekend. So I found myself in his studio every weekend recording music. Well, as I started recording music every weekend, I would always be anxious to let my friends hear my music after the session was over. So I would have a new demo every weekend. And so eventually, by the time I got to about 17 years old, I cultivated a significant amount of songs by then. You can imagine, right? If I'm recording every weekend. So by now my friends every weekend are like, Gab, you got a new song? And I'm like, yeah, here you go. So lo and behold, eventually my songs started to circulate outside of the state of Kansas. And one day I got a random phone call from Babyface.
Oh
wow.
Somehow my music has circulated and transitioned out to Los Angeles and landed on his desk with my name on it and my mom's home phone number on it.
Might have been his mom though. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at my mom's house, so he called my mom's house, and we thought it was a prank call.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we didn't believe it was really him, but it was. He had management on the phone, and we asked him, how did he get my number? How did he get the music? And he said he doesn't know. He said one of the maids the CD was left on his desk, and the maids never threw the CD away. They were supposed to, but they didn't. So, and he popped it in one night after a long day at the studio, and he said, man, I heard this song you wrote, and it's phenomenal, and I want to bring you out and make you the lead singer of a boy band. Well, that boy band just happened to be a band that I was a fan of, and the lead singer had just decided to pull out and go solo, so they needed someone to fill his slot, and they called me. So yeah, so I was about 18 years old at that point. I was working at General Motors. I didn't want to lose my job because my mom always told me to secure yourself with a great job. You can buy yourself a nice car and a nice home, So I said, well, I had set out to do that, and I was doing pretty well, saving my cash. And for Kenny, I call him Kenny, for him to call me and he completely demolished my plans with this phenomenal opportunity. And I said, well, I asked him. He said, Gab, we can bring you out and put you in this boy band, and they already have a following. They've already won awards and toured the world with everybody. But they need a lead singer now. I said, Kenny, do I have to quit my job? I had no idea I was talking to a billionaire, and he said, yeah, Gab, you have to quit your job. I was like, okay. I said, can you give me a month? I'll call you back. I'll have an answer. I'll have an answer for you in a month. I had no idea who I was talking to. Do you know he actually called me back in a month?
Wow.
He called me back a month later and said, hey, Gab, we're still waiting. Are you ready?
So he could have replaced it, but he wanted you.
I said, I saved up a few $1,000s. I think I could come now. So I got on the plane, and ever since then, it's been history. We signed our first record deal with Def Jam. We toured the world with Britney Spears and NSYNC and B2K, IMX, everybody you could possibly imagine. We Usher. We've done music videos and cartoons and all that good stuff. And we did a movie with Jessica Alba called Honey. We shot that in Canada. We did the Proud Family cartoon on Disney, where the episode was based on us, the group, and the Proud Family characters getting to our show. That's the whole premises of the whole episode. And so I played myself. And then Clive Davis offered me a solo deal. And I said, Clive, you know, I'm a church boy from Kansas City, and I'm still getting acclimated to this music business you guys got here. I'm not totally comfortable yet. If you could sign my group, that'd be great. If not, I totally understand. And he said, you know what, Gavyn, we like you enough. We'll actually buy your group out of your deal from Def Jam and sign you to
Wow.
J Records. And so we did the same thing all over again with Clive. Clive, that was another 5-year run. So we're looking at a 10-year time span of just pretty much partying hard. And we had a blast. Over the years, I was able to cultivate a lot of relationships behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, gaining a lot of respect in the music business, delivering on time, being the first one to show up, the last one to leave. And people just found that attractive, and I became more, people depended on me, and I was just reliable, and so I met Quentin in a studio. A good friend of mine, his production company was they had won Producer of the Year maybe 5 consecutive times, and Quentin had sent his demo in, and they said, hey, we'll take a meeting with you. And so he flew out and met with him. Well, that day I happened to be in the studio writing with them. These guys did Whitney Houston. They did the entire soundtrack for Dreamgirls. They've done everything. And so I just happened to be in the studio when Quentin showed up that day to meet these guys. And so me and Quentin got acquainted that day, and we became really cool. We hit it off that day, and ever since then, we've been really cool. And he introduced me to Dan, and here we are today.
Like Susan said, destiny.
Yes.
I mean, but a lot of people, when they hear that story, they would think of, wow, that came easy. And I want to talk about the other side of it, because as you know, a lot of people, they see the glory of like a Blake Shelton, of an Ariana Grande, of a Madonna, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the struggles, the tears that it takes, not just to get to their level, but even a career level within entertainment. And I think nobody talks about this. So I always want to talk about this on our show, because I think it's one of the most important things out there. I'm going to tell a quick story, and then I'm going to get y'all's thoughts on it. Back in 2014, we interviewed Allison Steele from Two Steel Girls. And at that time, they were full-time with music. And I'll never forget I asked Allison what advice she'd give an up-and-coming artist. And she said, this will sound funny coming from someone full-time. And she was right. I thought it was crazy at first. But she said, if you can see yourself doing something else, go do that and just keep music as a hobby. She goes, because the moment you want it to be a career, everything changes. Everybody around you kind of owns a piece of you. You no longer own your own life, even though it's your life. Your friends and relatives never understand, because they invite you to weddings, to cookouts, to weekends, to holidays. But when you're in that grind mode, you got to say no to everything except music almost. It's got to become your life if you're going to make it to the top. Then there's going to be days you're just miserable, but you still got to get on that stage and smile like there's no tomorrow. But then she added, but if you cannot see yourself doing anything else, then go all in, because the only way that those kind of sacrifices could ever be worth it. What do y'all think of what she said? Let's talk about that side of it, not just the sacrifice side as an artist, but the sacrifice side as an LA business too.
I was thinking about this while Gavyn was talking, and at that phase of Gavyn never had a hard time at that early phase of his career. He was working at General Motors with his family, he was going to be able to buy his own house. He's very diligent. He's very reliable. And then when he went right out to LA, Babyface's team took care of him, and he was right into a record deal. So those were some good years, I think there is this thing in life for a lot of people. I'll just call it the Britney Spears problem. It's not anything to blame on Britney Spears, but
Yeah.
so, the human mind likes a slow, steady ramp of progress where you're getting somewhere. And, it's real hard for people who they get all the success right at the beginning there. And then there's no place to go but down.
Yeah.
I noticed that even at Microsoft. So people who started early at Microsoft and they had stock options, and then those became worth a lot of money. So then a lot of young people retired, and then and then one guy, after a few years of retirement, was bored and started driving a bus. And then the school district said, like, you're so good at this, we want to make you into the supervisor. And he was like, no. So people don't always do well when they have so much success in life early. That's the end of my.
Because it's tough, like we had recently we had DC Glenn from Tag Team on, and remember they shot out the blue with the "Whoop There It Is" song, and they went to the top, and then nothing for a while. And we were talking to him, and he was like, he's learned a lot in the last 20+ years since his days. I mean, he's making a comeback and all that with some things, as he's in a Geico commercial now with it and all that.
Oh, yes, yes.
But he's learned a lot in that time. But he shot through the roof, just like what you were saying. And you, Gavin, what do you think?
It's like that, and in one regard, for me, it was, I was really blessed, and I'll talk about how on one end things kind of came to me, and then there's another side where I had to go to it, there is a space where, I mean, to be honest with you, most of the way my life has always worked was, I just said, if you do good, good will come. So what's happened is, it's almost like I was blessed for it came to me, and then I had to cultivate it while it was there. Like, it was my job to maintain what was brought to me, and that's the way it works sometimes. Will Smith has a saying that says, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So a lot of times, like, if you're already ready, then what happens is when that thing comes to you, then what happens is your responsibility is to apply pressure, apply what you already have been, what you've been prepared anyway, so just apply what you have. And so
because it's better to be prepared with no opportunity than opportunity and not be prepared.
Absolutely. And so for me, like, everything that I was fortunate enough to obtain and get into, I never had to go after. Like, even a record deal, if you notice in my story, I asked him, can I call you in a month? Because I wasn't sure if I even wanted to do this, but it came to me. And it's amazing how, there's people out here chasing a deal. They'll do anything. I mean, and I was just like, hey, I like my job, I mean.
Does that put pressure on you, knowing how many people are trying to chase it? And here it just comes to you. Do you sit up at night sometimes like, okay, you got to give more now because of that?
Yeah, you know what though? The thing about it is, I had to, for a minute, I used to feel, every now and then I used to feel bad. I used to feel like, oh man, I didn't even have to go and give this guy my demo. Most guys, I mean, Kenny gets boxes and boxes of music from around the world. Babyface is responsible for about 112 number one hit records. Wow. So he's his mates are throwing boatloads of music into the dumpsters every day. So I felt like, oh my God, you know, on one end, I felt blessed, like, oh my God, I feel blessed that I received this phenomenal opportunity. But then on another end, I felt like, wow, you know, that's unfortunate. You know, there's people out here that may even be more qualified than I am. You know, that has been sending him music every month. You know, and you know, but you know, I realized I stopped feeling bad because, you know, I realized, no, Gab, you actually did the work that he appreciated. I actually learned, I cultivated my voice. I sang every single day, but I wasn't doing it for a deal. I was doing it because I actually enjoyed singing. And you know, my friend that put me in his studio to record, that was another opportunity that was just given to me. Like, hey, my girlfriend's gone. She's not here to record on the equipment anymore. Can you do it? And I was like, sure. You know, but and so, but I realized that it wasn't by chance. It was not luck or coincidence. That I actually had to remember the part that I played. Gav, you learned how to sing like that. You actually learned how to deliver like that and execute like that. And it just happened to be at a level that impressed someone at that stature. So, and then as I got further into the music business, I started to just kind of pay attention and learn the ropes even more on how to deliver as a professional singer and how to stage presence and all these good bells and whistles that come. So yeah, there is one side that sucks, because it's like, oh man, you know, it feels like it just came to me. But then on another end, it's like, well, I worked, you know, and then even when you get into it, there's rehearsals for tours, and where you're rehearsing all night long and sweating out of your clothes, and you have your wins and your losses. You know, you have those things where you may be shooting for something and it doesn't happen, or you know, we have those, you know, but overall we consider ourselves blessed. It's very fortunate.
And you know, that's just like with our show, you know, we ain't had like the explosiveness like that and all that, but we have but we've gotten a lot of really big people come on our show in a short time. So I get people emailing me all the time, private message me through Facebook, like, how are you doing this? I mean, because they've been doing what we do for 3, 4, 5 years, and they don't have nowhere near the kid. And I'm like, well, first off, I believe in God above, so I think that that's a big part of it. But second, it's the work we've done. You know, you don't just do 300 interviews in a year and not have anything for it. It's just one of those things.
Wow. Yeah, that's not luck. That doesn't just happen. There's something there. That's almost like, you know, going to a phenomenal restaurant and they just happen to accidentally make a phenomenal meal. No, there are deliberate ingredients in here and quantity sizes and all of these different proportions that's placed in this that allows it to taste the way that it does, that people can enjoy it. That's not just some accident. You guys actually did the work.
Yeah, because I'm not going to say it was easy, but it was definitely fun. And you know, we've enjoyed this, but I'll be honest, there are days to where I tell Sandy, I don't know how much more I can do right now, because we've, you know, like this week is going to be a rough week a little bit for us, because we got a CRS week within the country music world, so we got a lot of interviews. So we got like 17 interviews this week, and a lot start. We got 6 tomorrow, which will be the most we ever done in one day.
That's right.
Now, granted, they're shorter interviews; they're not like 30 to 60 minutes, so that'll be easier. But it's a lot. It's like back to back to back to back. But we enjoy this, and we know the ultimate vision of our show is we want to be like a Kelly Clarkson show on TV one day. That's our ultimate vision. So we know we have to just keep doing this work, keep reaching out, keep trying to get people like a Randy Travis on, and we're still working on Chanel West Coast. We want to get her on. Thought I'd throw that out there. But we're still trying to reach out to a lot of these bigger people, and slowly but surely, some of them are starting to say yes. And it's been so exciting for us. I mean, a year ago, if you had told us our show would be where it is today, we'd have laughed. Now we're like, Oh God, look at who all we've had on.
Yeah,
And
where can this go?
and then tomorrow we've got the CEO of Chipotle, or the former CEO and founder of Chipotle coming on. We'd have never thought that.
Yeah.
And here we are just growing. We're just putting in the work, putting in the work, putting in the work. Because again, we're doing 5 to 10 interviews every single week, like clockwork. And it's been a struggle on that side of it, because it takes so much out of you, but it's been so much fun too.
It really has.
Yeah, hats
that's
off to
great.
you guys.
Yeah.
Where much is where they say where much is given, much is required. You guys are definitely you guys are obviously giving something that the community appreciates. And there's something there that allows people to gravitate, and it's your time. It's just your time, and I encourage you guys to keep pushing and keep cultivating this thing. What it could expand into something else, that was never in the plans. It's just the way life is.
This was never in the plan. It was just going to be a
Yeah.
country music interview show, and it's
that
expanded.
Was the
Wow.
So it's that's been the craziest part, because our base is country music. I mean, we had a lot of contacts in Nashville, so that's where we started, and we thought that that's where it would stay. But then through the year, last year, we pivot here, we pivot there, we pivot there. And next thing we know, we went from a country music interview platform to a music platform to now an entertainment platform.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
it seems like you're. Go ahead, Gav.
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I was just going to say, perhaps your show is about people and about life and challenges and growth and things like that, and so it's a relatable show. It's maybe that's why it's got legs. Yeah.
But we hope it can keep running.
We hope so.
I have a friend, Guyton. She's a country music artist as well. She's been doing really well. We started off. She actually was signed to Babyface for a while, and now she did it. Yeah, she did a show at the Hollywood Bowl before the pandemic, and
we know who you're talking about. She's awesome.
She's amazing.
Yeah,
it's crazy because these are people that, like, she's someone I've known, and she was just we were just buddies and we were just friends, and it was just I remember her being signed to Babyface, and we were just friends, and we would see each other all the time and talk, and she would come to my house and I would go to her house, and our friends would just we were buddies with nothing to do, especially because sometimes record labels, you go into those dry spells where you may not be on the biggest tour at the time. You may not be in the studio or taking pictures or doing videos. Some days you're just doing nothing. There's those phases where, and me and Michael, we had a lot of those phases where there's a section in the year of fourth quarter, the end of fourth quarter, the music industry shuts down. Everybody leaves, goes to Big Bear, and goes on vacation. And, and every year, so me and Michael would just say, okay, well, what are we gonna do? And it's so amazing and so inspiring to see her soar. She's at the top of her game right now. The fact that I can say her name to you guys, and you guys know exactly who I'm talking about. She was at the Hollywood Bowl, and she was up there singing. I was watching her perform. Total sold out crowd, and it was a reality moment she had while she's up there singing. She stopped singing, and she could hear all 40,000 people singing her song with her, and she just broke down. She just cried. It was like, I can't believe all of these people know my song. But that's a testament to what hard work does when you put in the time.
Exactly.
It seems like it came easy, but she put in the time. So that's the inspiring part of it.
Now, as y'all know, a lot of people, they see the artist, the business front man and all that, but they don't see the team that makes them who they are, from the PR people to producers to managers. And I always want to talk about that side, because in my opinion, they don't get the love they deserve. On our show, they get the love they deserve. So if you want to take a few minutes, both of y'all, just to tell us about the team that helps y'all be who y'all are, and we'll let Dan go first.
Yeah, that's great, because that's really appropriate for our business, because when the front girls are just avatars, then there's no one deserves the credit except for the people behind the scenes, right? So other than myself, Gavyn, and Quentin, we have, just kind of starting in order, we have the 4 models that we scanned to make the avatars. That was down in LA. They were in the photogrammetry dome with 280 cameras, like shooting them simultaneously from all angles to generate a 3D model, right? And so that was Leanna Vesey and Xenia Giselle and Karen Lee, Soo-Young Lee, and Melinda Maravilla. And then we took their 3D models and then we blended them to create unique humans. We didn't want it to be exactly them, so we took 11% of each of them and blended them into the other 3, so that our avatars would have their own unique faces and bodies. Then of course we have the singers. We have 1 singer for each of the characters.
Oh wow!
There's Mia Furman, who is the voice of Amaya Rush. There is Whitney Meyer, who's the voice of Valentina Verse, and Bridget Watanabe, who's the voice of Tera Bang, and then Lindsay Halderson is the voice of Ryda Rhymes.
Oh, wow.
And so on our team, they're all contractors, work for hire singers. Then Bridget, who is not only a singer, is also on our management team. She's our executive assistant, and she was on American Idol season 12, I think. It's been a minute. And then since that experience, she's also has a paralegal background. And then we have Mitchell Warenga in Atlanta. He is our 3D pipeline manager. He's the one who gets the characters together. We have about 5 regular freelancers who are contributing to, creating the outfits for the characters and things like that, or having them animating them to do TikTok dances and so forth. And then we also have Amber Villasenor, who is our brand manager, because we're really hoping that the avatars will be brands, that each of the characters, they have certain styles and certain things that they're into. So for example, the Tera Bang character, she's into video games. So on TikTok, she's doing like scenes of her playing Call of Duty and other video games. Hopefully she'll have a Twitch channel at some point. And so, so each of the characters are going to represent certain interests and lifestyles, but we want all of that actually to come from our fans. Our target fans are young people, Gen Z. These are the people who are really going to control society, I think, for the better. After COVID, Gen Z is really going to take over. And we want our 4 characters to just speak for them. Whatever's important, because these young people, they don't trust brands the way they're not looking for that Campbell soup logo that they love and trust, in the middle of the grocery store. To them, trust is earned, right? So we actually have a bunch of young people, college interns, who are trying to get our fans organized and so we want to make sure that they're always speaking for our fans. Yeah. Let's see, did I leave anybody out? Yeah, I think that's
Okay, Gavin's turn.
yeah.
Yeah. Speaking to what you guys were talking about is regarding the team behind, the artist. There that definitely plays a major role, and a lot of times, people don't realize the managers and the team behind the act is a lot of times the only reason why there is even an act in the first place. A lot of times these artists, I have some friends in the music business who, when I first met them, they were just trying to get into something that would keep them out of trouble. They
Yeah.
they were just like, I just need to be busy doing something, otherwise I'm gonna just find myself getting into things I shouldn't. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I'll try music. Well, they realized they had the ability to write songs. So now they just, that team comes and you have a person that believes and that knows someone that says, hey, I can get you into the studio, and now they're recording demos that they write. And one of my good friends, Keisha Cole, she just wanted to get into something that would keep her focused, and now she's doing relatively well, but her team behind her is undergirding her, and they're holding her up and making sure that she remains consistent in the public eye. And a lot of times it's the team that's holding it all together. A lot of
Yep.
times the artist in the front is looking great, sounding great, but they're ready to crumble. And it's the team that's holding it together, that's saying, "Hey, you can do it." And when things come loose on one end, we tie together on the other, and we're just constantly, that's how it goes. And that's even what me, Dan, and Q, our team, that what we're doing it over at Panjandrum, with our team. Whenever something is needing tweaked or whatever, we have a whole team behind us to make it happen. But I have a saying where no one knows this. Knows the story. They just see the glory. People never
Yeah.
really know what
Exactly.
happens behind the scenes. They just see the glare and the shine. But it took someone to
People
put
want to
that.
be with you in the glory, but not the grind.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what happens, even with Panjandrum, with us developing our avatars with AVTR. We went through a lot of excruciating and tedious moments where, tweaking the hair and tweaking the nose and tweaking the eye
Wow.
color and tweaking. It's so many details, but guess what? When it comes out, it looks amazing. But there's somebody in the back that's wiping the sweat off of his brow, So
Yes.
that stayed up all night studying eyes.
Wow.
Wow.
But it's always fortunate to see the outcome. But the team is most important. Yeah.
And speaking of teams, we have a third co-host that our
Yes, we
9-year-old.
do.
We always bring on to ask a question to
His
each of the
name's
guests.
Christopher.
Sandy's gonna go get him.
I will get it.
And we've got a 23-month-old, almost 2-year-old little daughter that when
Yes.
she gets older, we'll be plugging her in the show too, because we will be a family affair show and always are a family affair.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I love that.
But yeah, it's, when we first started the show, that was the ultimate goal is, how can we incorporate our family also into it? Because I don't want it just to be, even though it says the Chris and Sandy show, I don't want it just to be our show. I want a legacy for them. And when we first started, we had this idea of what this would be, and it's broadened and broadened and broadened. And now I'm like, well, maybe some of the connections are a reason it's happening for maybe him and our daughter down the road. We don't know.
I love doing stuff with my kids, and it's the only problem is I get so excited about what they're doing that I ruin it for them. Yeah.
Hi,
Hey.
Dan. Hi, Dan and Garrett. So, what's your favorite food?
Well, for me, it's the tuna foot-long Subway. I think when I moved here, when I was 24, I was by myself. I'd never been to a Subway. And I just went in and I had that one sandwich, and I never left. Still makes me feel good.
Mm.
And yours, Gavyn?
My favorite sandwich, or my favorite food, rather. My favorite food. Oh man, that's a good question. I'm a big soul food fan, especially. Did we lose them?
Well, what about that place where you took me, Gavin, where I almost went into a diabetic coma? You know, the wing. What's that place?
Roscoe's.
Roscoe's.
Roscoe's chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles. Yeah.
A diabetic coma. Yes. I'm a big soul food fan. I'm really big on flavor and, I'm really big on flavor. I love flavor. And, but yeah, I'm a big soul food fan. Coming from Kansas City too, it's being in Los Angeles and away from home. Los Angeles doesn't have a whole lot of soul food restaurants, so you kind of miss home a bit, and that food that you used to have for Thanksgiving. I guess you could say that's my favorite kind of food is Thanksgiving food, the traditional Thanksgiving food, the dressing and the turkey and the mac and cheese. I'm a really big, that's my favorite. Yep.
And what's yours?
Mine is pizza.
What kind of toppings? What kind of toppings do you like?
Pepperoni and sausage.
Yeah. Sounds good, man.
Yes.
And he's got one more.
You got one more question.
So, what's your favorite TV show?
My favorite TV show is just a personal guilty pleasure, which is The Curse of Oak Island. Have you ever watched that show?
No,
I haven't.
They're looking for buried treasure, and
Wow.
so far it's like 8 seasons long, and they're on this island, they're digging, and I'll watch a whole episode, and sometimes they'll find like a button, It's kind of a slow show. But I guess the reason I like it is because of the people who, it's two brothers. They have the whole treasure hunting operation, and just the team that they're all together doing something that they love to do. I think that's what makes it fun. Yeah.
And how about you, Gavin?
Yeah, my favorite show. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but I do catch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That used to be one of my favorites back in the day.
I love that.
I never heard of that.
We'll have to show you.
Yes.
Yeah, they're still playing those reruns. And they come on sometimes at 12 midnight, and right when you're getting ready to call it the night and go to bed, and it comes on. I'm like, I gotta watch this, and I love it. It shows the family, and Will Smith is an complete fool on that show. He's hilarious.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what's yours?
SpongeBob.
Yeah, here's a SpongeBob.
Yes, he loves SpongeBob.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yes.
Yes.
And what's been cool about this show is, he watches a lot of Nickelodeon shows. So we've been able to bring up 5 or 6 people from his shows on our show. And I'm sitting there like, I wish I'd had that when I was little,
That's awesome. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Nice.
Bye, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
So as we start to come to a close here, what's next for y'all?
I think that for our company, we've released 2 songs. We have 6 more that are on our release calendar for this spring. And even though we're avatars, we're basically we're a band. So we need to build that kind of following. Of course, we can use social media to do that. We're making music videos. We have a YouTube channel. If anybody would like to follow our progress, you can. The Instagram handle for the band is avtr.ai. Please feel free to follow us there. We just want to keep building an engaged fan base. Also, it would be great to do some live events, which is quite possible in the virtual world. You may have seen Travis Scott in Fortnite, and then there was The Weeknd in Wave XR, and now Post Malone is doing Pokemon, and Lil Nas X did Roblox. So these video games are becoming venues in the metaverse, and that's we would like to be doing some gigs in the metaverse if we can find a place to do that. Yeah.
Okay, and you, Gavyn?
What's next for us? That's Dan pretty much nailed it. That's where we are. We're pretty much leaning into just pressing forward and coming up with more content and just giving the people more of what they need. I think that Dan is dead on. Gen Z they're the leading force right now. They are the ones we all got to answer to. They're the ones that they're in charge. If Gen Z doesn't like
that's
it,
very true.
so we're our I think our primary objective, besides getting our girls out there even more, is becoming more and more connected and cohesive with Gen Z even more. That we can water that relationship between us and them and give the world more of what Gen Z approves of.
Love that.
Yeah.
And we really enjoyed having y'all on the show today, and we definitely look forward to having y'all back as we close.
Awesome. It's been such a pleasure to be here, spend time with you. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
Thanks.
Oh,
and
thank
y'all have a
you.
great day.
Yes, thanks for your time.
Okay. You